Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. The sun is just peeking over the horizon to the east. This is probably the earliest I've been up in maybe 6 or 7 months. I'm more of a night owl than an early morning person, but we have a lot that we need to get done today, and we're not going to be able to accomplish all of that if we don't get started early. We're supposed to be getting another load of seed beans this morning. I'm not entirely sure on the time. I am trying to go get this other field that's about 40 minutes away mapped with the gator before the seed comes. That way, if it does turn off raining in the afternoon, it's already done. It's not the biggest deal if I don't get there right away to unload the seed. I might have Chris or Jeff, they're fully capable of operating the forklift. I do have a strict deadline. At noon, I'm donating blood. Not missing that. If you're healthy and you're not signing yourself up to donate blood every 8 weeks, give or take a little bit, you're missing out. If the video looks a little bit different today, that is because our other lens had a bit of a run-in with the welder or the cutting torch or the grinder in the last episode. One of them was the culprit. It's really my fault for putting the camera so close to the action, but I wanted to get some sweet shots. For that specific reason, I did have a lens protector on. It just has maybe 7 or 8 noticeable burn marks and tinges where some kind of hot spark hit it and melted the lens cap a little bit. I've got another one ordered to replace that. This lens is actually a much nicer piece of glass. The focus though is very close. This right here is as far zoomed out as possible. I mean, I have my arm, I'm holding you guys like out this far and you're that close to me. It could do some crazy stuff. And it can zoom super far. That garbage truck was probably half mile away. Ooh, sun. Okay, that's enough talking. Let's get to work. We need the RTK receiver off the 8310R tractor. It is the most accurate dome that we have. Also, don't forget to like the video. The main problem with this lens is it's not very good in low light. Okay. First we're gonna unhook this. There we go. We're gonna grab this lever. We're off. Man, it's that easy. That's a view right there. Ooh-wee. I don't really want to do any more than I have to. It is going to be breezy again today, so I might as well shut this door. I would feel a little bit guilty if I came home and the door was completely ripped off. As we say around here though, stuff happens. It's not actually what we say, it's actually a more derogatory word, but we're going to keep it PG for you guys. Package secured. No keys. Push to start. My other lens wouldn't capture this very well, but this truck has an awesome heads-up display. That's what I see when I'm driving. It doesn't have to be that complicated, but I find it very neat to see your front and backwards tilt, steering angle, 2-wheel drive versus 4-wheel drive, and side-to-side degrees. It's nice knowing people that have trailers. My brother-in-law was kind enough to swing this by and drop off not only the trailer, but a hitch. The hitch was unnecessary. Never turn stuff like that down though. I'm gonna make a few last minute design modifications before we mount the dome and wire everything up. I would rather have that heavier strap for strapping down the gator on the trailer as opposed to holding that, so I'm gonna use this lighter moving strap. And that is why we have the strap in the first place, just to prevent that. How our weld's holding up. Figure 8. Okay, that's ready. And there's our RTK receiver. All we lack now is the wiring harness that connects to the battery and then to the monitor. So we also need to go grab the monitor from inside. Metal shaving. This is why I put that plywood down underneath that drilling job I was doing. Don't want to step on that. And here is our stack of boxes that contain 2630 displays. Basically the computer that operates the GPS. It's easy to tell which one's Dad's because he puts it in the nicest case. Or at least he thought he did. This only has SF1 on it, which is basic steering and roasting. So that goes in my planter tractor. He probably intended to put his monitor in there that has SF3 and RTK. I think it's this one. Yeah, because we got row sense, SF2, and section control. Here's the fun part. We got to hook all this up. Basically, these just tie into the battery posts. One goes to the monitor, and one goes to the GPS receiver to give it power and connect them both. Oh shoot. I dropped the bolt. Now we're in trouble. Alright, see it? I just need a magnet. I couldn't find a magnet, but I did find these, which is relatively close to the same thing. That's not gonna work. I hate when this happens. This happens all the time to me. You never have the tools you need for a project. I had to go locate a magnet. That easy when you have the right tool. Alright, now don't lose this one too. Looks good. Close the seat. Just hooked up the dome. Now this wire right here should run the monitor. Right in the back like that. And hit our switch. We have ignition. RTK dome is green, so we've got power to both. It's looking good. While this boots up and kind of loads the signal, I'm going to do a little bit of house cleaning and clean all these wires up. It's a bit messy. Everything's loaded up on here. The last step, since we relocated the dome to a different position on a different implement or vehicle or tractor, whatever you want to call the gator, is we have to recalibrate the TCM. The TCM stands for Terrain Compensation Module. Essentially, it helps the dome realize what kind of angle it's at and more accurately put down its points. Pull that on the driveway. I just go into our settings, the dome, setup, 3D TCM. So to calibrate it, we basically just park it one way and then flip it around on the same axle line and park it that way and calibrate. So hit OK, it's calibrating. Nasty glare on the screen. Nasty little breeze we have today. You good? Roll forward a little bit. That's gonna do. We'll calibrate it and we're ready to roll. We'll shut this off for now. Don't need it. Everything down, load this up on the truck. Take the key out just so it doesn't blow out on the road. I don't think it would. We're also going to take this with us. Alright, everything's strapped down. We're ready to go. I'm going to hit the road here in a second, but first I'm going to go inside and take a little bit of home field advantage before I drive for 40 minutes one way. Okay folks, pit stop completed. Let's go hunker down in this wind. We got a long drive ahead of us. Let's hit the road. Just now arriving at this new farm, kind of getting a feel for what's going on exactly here. As I'm here, other than mapping my RTK lines, I also want to get a good idea of where the entrances are to the farm, places where tractors can go in and out, and other landmarks that we really need to keep an eye out for. I can see part of the farm has a massive amount of power lines. You're gonna see that when you're working, but it does help to know beforehand that you have to deal with that. A little bit hillier over here than I'm used to. Beautiful terrain. I don't think I've seen anything close to that back on that tune. The drive wasn't terrible at all, other than the fact that I got caught behind someone driving incredibly slow. It's about 40 minutes on Route 16, just straight to the west. Route 16 is just basically a 2-lane highway, or a super highway for some people on there. Shouldn't be a bad drive. It'll probably take 2+ hours in a tractor. I've already unstrapped the gator. I'm gonna go ahead and boot up the Green Star system. I have to change some stuff on the RTK dome that we're farther away from home, and then we'll be good to go. I came back inside to explain something since it's so windy outside, and I wanted to be very clear about this point. I explained last year when we went through the same process, the difference between standard SF1, SF2 auto steer and RTK auto steer. The difference being that the lower tiers of auto guidance are based on just a satellite and a receiver on the tractor. RTK, which stands for real-time kinematic, involves a third system, and that is a radio receiver somewhere around the area. Now, John Deere dealers or John Deere, whoever maintains them, has a massive network of these domes all across farm country. Unless you knew exactly what you were looking for, you probably wouldn't notice them. A lot of times they're on the top of cell towers, radio towers, big elevator grain legs, similar facilities to that. Those are what allow the super premium RTK system to map so accurately. On the standard 2-device communication system, as the satellite moves in the air that's connecting with the dome, the lines do not hold true to their starting value. The satellite moves, the implement moves, over time the lines just drift away. Even in the course of an afternoon, your lines can actually get spaced out further and further just due to that inaccuracy. What RTK offers is a third level of calibration to ensure superb efficiency. This dome communicates with one receiver on that network around the area to triangulate an exact position. These coordinates and lines will hold true forever, or at least for a very long time. That's the reason we use RTK to map the fields, because it would really be a waste of time to take just the 2-receiver system out here and map them, because those points would be invalid in a couple days. Now, those third receivers that are spread around the area only have so much range, and since we are so far away from home in our standard base station that we hook up to, we're going to have to change our frequency to something nearby. I've been chatting with Alliance Tractor and Matt Toons, Green Star specialist, and he's given me the frequencies and the codes to hook up to a tower nearby, and I also had to give him my serial number off this dome for him to allow me permission on their network. So I guess they keep everything pretty lock and key. You know John Deere never lets anyone ride for free. I apologize in advance for the wind. I don't think it's going to get any better, possibly get worse as the day goes on. Let's map these fields. To recalibrate this, we go into our dome setting here, Starfire 6000, that's the receiver we have up front, and then click on this. These are all our different activations. You can see it keeps track of our latitude, our longitude, altitude, GPS course, which would be our heading, roll angle, pitch angle, all things that are very important to have an accurate GPS reading. So we'll go over here to our RTK dome setting, and then we're going to configure our network. Configure. We're ready to rock and roll. I just got a call and was informed that the seed delivery should be exactly when I'm scheduled to donate blood. See how we make that work. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this. I did have to make a phone call. To make the boundaries, I have it set so on the left front side of this gator, I'll have the offset, and this offset will mark the boundary. I'll drive around, I'll have this record button on the bottom going, and it'll just map the field. Then I'll have to come back around and set all of my AB lines. Shouldn't be too hard. We're going to give it a shot. So we finished mapping the north field. As I drove around the boundary of the farm, through the waterway, what have you with the gator, it kept track of exactly the outside of the boundary, and so it shows 108 acres. Now I'm gonna go back and put my AB lines across the farm. That way when I come and plant, it's gonna be a lot easier. It's actually my first time doing boundaries, so I'm not entirely sure how accurate this is. I'll pull it up in my John Deere Operations Center later at home and validate it over the actual map. The boundary was a feature I just wanted to try out. It's really not that important. It was my first time doing it, so it may not have worked out correctly. Like I said, I'm going to compare it at home. Now we're doing the important part. RTK lines on every non-steerable part of the farm. So everything we want straight, we're going to put an RTK line on. The RTK line is going to be a little bit different in terms of strategy. We're not using the offset. We put the dome exactly where we want the point to be. And something I've learned since last time is that when you go to the other point, you want to be facing the same way. So if I hit this one from the north like I am now, I want to hit that in from the north. I don't want to come in from the east, the south, or the west, because it could cause 3 or 4 inches of difference, and incremental mistakes like that can make a massive difference over the length of a farm. We've got our auto steer screen up here. Essentially, we're just going to go new. I like to name them pretty intuitively. This is the north farm. I'm going to call this the east line. It's that simple. East line. East line. Then we just hit accept. Now we just set track, set A, set B. Doing the 2-point method, some people like to use heading. When you're dealing with property lines, 2 points is just better. So we hit A, set A, and now we drive to B, and it'll remember the line. Not only is there a fence right here, there are horses within this fence. And if there's one thing I've learned, you don't mess with horse people and their horses. They're kind of crazy sometimes. Back to where we started, straight in line, no guesswork involved. It's that easy. For those of you who didn't see me do this last year on all of our farms, I can now go in the planter in the spring, pull up to the field. Obviously, I've already have the field selected, hit current track, and I have all of these different lines. A little dusty. I have all of these different lines now that I just created that will not move. And I pull the planter up where I want it. I'll probably center the line because the line's straight. I can move it side to side, and I plant straight. Where that's really useful is on these really long property lines that actually have nothing to differentiate between the two farms other than the crop. And over time, some people work on that one farm, some people work on the other. There's nothing you can do about it when you're hand steering. We can take the air out by just having a straight line every time. If we get here first, we'll establish where it should be. Gotta unload the junk. Someone chopped off a bush and threw it out in the field. I just chalk this up to laziness. Why would you take the effort to take something off your property and just throw it on someone else's? Like, come on, have some pride. Why would you want to damage what someone else owns? I don't own this farm, but heck, why don't you take care of other people's stuff? It's not your trash barrel. It's the same thing we see all by our farm. All these people just dump out their beer cans and what have you. All seem to be natural light drinkers. I don't know if that's a coincidence or not. That just really rubs me the wrong way. I'll get off my high horse though. Southbound. I was wrong. Take that push light. I've already wrapped up the RTK lines for the south farm. I did in reverse. I'm going to do the boundaries next just for sake of time. I can tell you that the north farm is definitely a better farm than the south farm. This one has potential, just needs a little more love. The north field may be one of the nicest fields in the surrounding area. This is going to be a treat to farm because it's crisscrossed with power lines. We got some single posts running that way. We got some double posts running to the northwest. And we got all sorts of washes and haulers and all whatever. I don't even know what a hauler is, but I think that has something to do with water. The ground's so light over here, I just figured the word hauler was fitting. So many hills. I'm excited to raise 100 bushel soybeans on this ground. I think it's possible. Well, that project is all wrapped up with 7 minutes to load the trailer and get out of here to be at my 12 o'clock appointment at the Mattoon YMCA to donate blood. I've never been known for my speed, so I'll try not to dilly-dally around here. I'm super excited for this opportunity to farm this. The most important part with these green star screens is to be very cautious about how you undo these switches. Let power down, do not remove the power. Do not remove the power excessively, use the switch. If you just unplugged it, you might lose all that data. The package is secured, but at this point it doesn't really matter if it falls off because we're done with it. I mean, of course I wouldn't be happy if something went wrong, but that's the way it is. I finally figured it out. That's probably one of those hills like the Hartung family farms over in Iowa. You probably need a 4-wheel drive to pull a planter up that. All right, it is 11:25, my appointment is at 12. We are going to drive under the speed limit because that's what we always do. Ron, if you're watching this video, are you guys man enough to farm that hill? That's pretty impressive. Doesn't even look like they farm it. Might be a trash dump. It's ridged. Well, they do farm it. They farm it in levels. It's terraced. Interesting. Man, I'm not used to this kind of ground. Wow, look at those hills back there. Jeez. Clay knobs and all. We should only be about 3 or 4 more minutes. So 7 minutes late to a blood donation appointment. I think surely they could give me some slack. I'm literally giving them my life blood, my currency. Okay, 9 minutes isn't bad. I'm gonna go let them stick me. Haters gonna say it's fake, but it's real. I'm a pound lighter, because I guess you donate over a pound of blood. Our seed order is showing up right about now, so we gotta zip out to the farm real quick. I might stop by somewhere and grab a protein bar. Another neat benefit of donating blood is they also test it for COVID antibodies. So if you think you've had it at one point in time, but you're not entirely sure, what a better way to test than to go donate blood. 2 birds with 1 stone. Going into Mattoon was out of the way compared to where I was coming from versus going back to the farm earlier. I really didn't have a choice though. As far behind as I was for getting to my 12 o'clock appointment, I just had to take the trailer with me. We'll get it unhooked here right after we unload this seed. This truck has a rear view camera mirror. That's not a reflection, that's a camera. I can turn it off. Oh, there's a reflection somewhere. And here's camera mode. Fascinating feature. And there's Burr's seed with our Don Mario beans. Let's get these unloaded. Keep going. We just got those Don Mario and List soybeans unloaded. We still need to do some sorting in the barn, but like I said a couple days ago, I need to get some tools in my toolbox so I can clean off that back wall. That involves getting the gator off and then putting the trailer somewhere. It's nasty out here. It's almost too windy to be doing anything productive outside. This is a nasty breeze. Pull out of the way so Chris can leave. I came back in before I left with the trailer to find my drink. Don't you hate when you misplace things? I know it's in this barn somewhere. Oh, there it is. Just hanging out with the AgriGold seed corn. This is my replacement for all of my energy drinks I used to consume. Now every now and then I treat myself to a nice low to 0 calorie sports drink. No caffeine, but it does have electrolytes. Ion 4 advanced electrolyte system. We're gonna go return this trailer to its rightful owner. I figured that's the least we can do is take it back into town as opposed to making him come get it. Then we're gonna bring my truck in here, sort these tools, load them in my toolbox. Then we're gonna move some more junk around. That way we can open up room and start stacking soybeans on the east wall. Corn-wise, we're still lacking about 4 or 5, maybe 6 boxes, I'm not entirely sure. Probably just 4 or 5. Bean-wise, we're lacking 8 or 9 bulk bags, which is quite a bit. I hate those stupid bulk bags. I will compliment Burris and Don Mario, which they service. They are the only company who provides us soybeans in pro boxes. I know for those of you who don't farm, think that's a silly thing. These are so much easier to work with than the bulk bags, which you'll probably see a couple here in a few days or a few weeks. Out into the elements we go. Looks like that's where the trailer calls home. Let's get this back in there. Stop before we hit the water tank. dropped that trailer off well over 30 minutes ago, and I'm still looking back about every 3 or 4 minutes to make sure that the trailer is all right. But it's a ghost trailer because it's not there. It's funny how you reprogram your mind to be more observant when you have something like that hooked up to the back. Speaking of traveling, only got 97 miles left on my diesel exhaust fluid. They must have not sent this truck with a full tank. All right, time to sort some tools. It's time to get all these tools sorted, put in the pickup truck, pull the pickup truck outside, and then we gotta resort these soybeans we got earlier today. Part of what I bought at Rural King the other day was this Milwaukee pack-out bag. It's a little bit big. What I like though is how much organization ability it has. What I've been using is this DeWalt toolbox, not to get into the DeWalt versus Milwaukee argument. This is what I run into though. It's just an unorganized mess. So I'm gonna try and organize all these into that. That way I have a quick bag. It's gonna be big, it's gonna be heavy. Everything will be where I need it. I also bought some tools at the Home Depot. Just been on a spending spree the last few days, it seems like. This is actually awesome. Look at the amount of space, all the different pockets to put your tools, different size holes. Got a whole other section in here. Put something big in this compartment. Hang your big wrenches, small wrenches, punches, whatever. Got a sealed compartment up there. A protected compartment there. I'm really glad I got this. I think it's gonna make me not regret getting rid of this stupid toolbox. Lights just cut out. That was weird. Very rarely do events turn out to be better than expected for me, and this is one of them. This toolbox is awesome. I've got all my tools clipped in. They're not necessarily super organized, but I can get to them all. I see them all. I've got my standard wrenches. I've got my metric wrenches, all my pliers, pipe wrenches, crescent wrenches, vice grips, a few big screwdrivers, a pry bar, 2 hammers. Can't go without the hammers. And then a bunch of Allens and then some smaller screwdrivers here in the front pouch. On the side, I've got drill bits and screwdriver bits for my drill. And I've just got a few markers and other things here on the side, just kind of unnecessary. Oh, and last but not least, I put all my loose miscellaneous wrenches in the top, and I also put my new set of punches there. So we're ready to rock and roll. The one con to having all these different tools available in your toolbox is how heavy it is. I'm afraid it's going to be pretty meaty in terms of weight. What it does have though is this convenient carrying strap. Oh yeah, that's heavy. It doesn't need to be light though. Realistically, I'm either gonna be pulling up to what I'm working on with my truck. I may pop it open and just take a few tools out of it and go to the project. Or, you know, I may just be transferring it from my truck to a tractor. None of those things should require anything more than a 30-second effort of moving the toolbox. So again, this is the Milwaukee Pack-Out Toolbox. I got it here at Rural King in Mattoon, which, fun fact, Rural King is also headquartered in Mattoon. That's where it was started. And we can finally get rid of this old DeWalt toolbox. I'll probably just keep it here for extra storage. I still have a lot of tools to get rid of. So what I have on the tailgate right now is pretty much what I like to keep in my truck at all times for work and general purposes. Got a propane torch, always good to heat things up. A clevis just in case if you're pulling something. DeWalt 1/2-inch impact. DeWalt Sawzall deal, I don't even know what that's called. A bag of zip ties. All of the aforementioned tools in this Milwaukee Pack-Out. A very large crescent wrench and a very large pipe wrench. These are big enough to get the job done on any project where these tools right here can't do it. A shovel, of course, always end up digging something. A 16-pound sledgehammer in case something needs negotiated. Full John Deere metric wrench set, and then a pretty large 1/2-inch drive John Deere metric socket set. These two right here, as I said in the other video, I find to be the most used, especially on our John Deere equipment. There's just so many bolts you're working on all the time. The next most used thing, which is kind of just a supplement, is this 1/2-inch impact. Now I will say that I really wish we had one of those big 3/4-inch impacts. It can be very frustrating when you're out changing flat tires on a field cultivator, disc ripper, you know, what have you, out in the field. You put the breaker bar on it, there's just not enough tension against the tire on the ground. So when you try to break it, you spin the rim around. That can be extremely, extremely frustrating. I'd really like to get a bigger 3/4 one that I think will just pop them off real quick. I've heard that they're crazy powerful. I'm not gonna get into the whole DeWalt versus Milwaukee. As far as I'm concerned, they're the two top dogs in the electric tool industry. The problem you run into is that all of our tools are DeWalts, so we have DeWalt batteries. As much as I've heard good things about Milwaukee, maybe their grease guns are superb, and all their other tools, We don't have any Milwaukee batteries. And yeah, you can buy something and get an extra battery, but we have maybe 10 of these batteries laying around the farm, sitting on chargers, always ready to go. And it's just a convenience that's hard to go away from. We got all this junk loaded in there. We've already reached our first snafu. It only took about 10 seconds. This bag is too big for my toolbox. It's not deep enough. I am comfortable putting a bag like this in the back seat though. All the tools are contained. It's not that big of a deal. I had a bunch of loose tools last time. So I'm gonna take this out, put it in the back seat for now. That's pretty heavy. And go from there. Packed up and loaded. This is what it looks like right now. I imagine by the time I get home, this will all be rearranged in its own preferred way. I wish I had room for that pack out, but it's all right, put it in the front seat. Got a couple hitches in here. I put 4 tie downs under. Tie downs are something that you rarely need, but when you do need them, you never have them. Got my shovel and my sledgehammer underneath. Ready to rock and roll. How in the world did you guys almost let me forget the most important part? WD-40, the old liquid wrench, used on almost every single project. I kid you not, we probably go through a can a week. Okay, not that much. We might go through a can a month, but still, we go through a lot of WD-40. We're ready to organize these 3 boxes of seed. I have one thing that I want to get done first that I didn't do earlier, and that is harvest the data that we captured out on that farm. I didn't do it earlier because I didn't have a flash drive. Oh. Beep boop bop. Loading. This is so much nicer inside than it was outside in that wind. I remember now. Some flash drives don't work with these. Oh, that's the one. That's the only one I have. After a long quest, I'm hoping that this does the trick. You gotta be kidding me. That's just how day's going. Okay, well, we're not getting that today. I guess we'll push that back on the agenda till tomorrow. For now, we gotta finish reorganizing the seed and then we're done for the day. It's just been one of those days for my projects. They didn't all quite run smoothly. Relocated the 135 units of the Don Mario 3932E enlist beans. These are different than what we tried last year. Last year we used like a 3.7 bean. I don't remember the specific number off the top of my head. These are actually supposed to be better. I am almost entirely certain that this is not where these boxes will stay. You really can't access all of the corn, especially like I said, we're gonna have more come in. Probably gonna have to push this that way somehow, clean up more stuff. I just put those there now so they're out of the way. We kind of have an idea of what is in the inventory, and we can go from there. All right, everyone, that's gonna be it for today. I'm gonna go outside, brave the elements, go home, and relax after this long day. The early morning this morning has already taken its toll. It'll take me some time to adjust. Hopefully by the 1st of April, I'm a little more acquainted to early mornings because we're gonna have a pretty hectic planting season this year. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate your support. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great night, everyone. Peace!